All right, all right. Hey guys, it's Sam here. We are mid-morning, January 4th, and I had a couple of members interested in a look at Bitcoin Cash to the US dollar. And now I've got it up here on Bittrex, so we've got to trade it against the US dollar tether. So here's my chart here. This is how I approach it. I've been tracking this and trading this for a while. So we can see here. So let me go back here. So this is a 4-hour chart here. So if I give this, let me scrunch it up a little bit so you can see where we're coming from. Okay, so here's where it hits Bittrex. That's where we start. Then I'm working from this absolute low here, which I've just wicked off here, and I'm getting my first 3 pivots for the pitchfork, and you can see that's been fairly good at containing the market. Now we've gone to the 150 out here on this edge, and we seem to be climbing up there. But you can see here we came right to the median line for this B wave, and then push back down. So kind of interesting. And so far it's very technical. So let me pull some of this off here so we can break it down a little bit more and we can get a better look at it. I'm going to go to the 1 hour, and there's some complexity here. So I propose that what we've got here is this is our third. This was the big push up, right? When we got to, what did we get to here? 4,200, and I'm working from this too. So we are in a very complex fourth, right? So if we're going to continue higher, this level of complexity is not uncommon in a fourth. It is uncommon in a second. But here and in fact, we may indeed have a WXY, which sounds complicated, but really all it does is connect two ABCs. So you can see here we've got pretty good subdivision here. So from our 3 high, we get the scream down, and we can see it breaks down into 5 waves. So that's our A. Then we get a very nice 3-wave ABC into the B here. We come down, and here's that trademark shallow C wave that we see in crypto so often. But then we don't move off of that impulsively, and in fact we break down again. So which is why I think what we have here now, given the additional data we can see here, we get an ABC, and then we get the X wave. Now the X wave just connects the 2 ABCs. So again, it sounds more complicated than it is. So we get a corrective wave here. The X wave is always corrective, and then we finish down with another ABC, and you can see we get a nice ABC within the B wave. So it's all per Elliott trading. It's all quite technical, and it makes sense, and you can get a handle on it. So just to reiterate, I mean, the point of the Elliott rule set here, as we apply it to the chart, is that it gives us a set of rules with which we can qualify where we are in a count. So as I often tell people, it's not mandatory to be successful trading crypto or any asset class, but it is helpful if you're willing to do the work and learn the rule sets. It will keep you out of bad trades. How about that? And it will put you in position to take advantage of trades where you get clear impulsive behavior. And is the foundational premise of Elliott wave trading is that markets trend in 5 waves and they correct in 3. Now wouldn't it be nice if it were that simple? So here's a good example of it being not so simple. But in the largest degree here, we've had an impulsive wave here. You can see that, and I won't take you through the breakdown, but you can get a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we complete a 3rd wave here. And then on the very largest degree, even though we have this complexity here, we just have an ABC. And you can see we're just moving down in this channel, which has been fairly well defined by all this price action here. Well, this is the first sign of a break outside of the channel. And we do it in a 5-wave sequence, which suggests the potential for the start of what would be the 5th wave. So here's our 3. Here now I propose is our 4th, and you can't be definitive about that, but per what I'm seeing here, this plays does not violate any any Elliott rules. And if this is our 4, well, now our expectation is that we move away from this with some sort of a 5-wave sequence to put the trend back intact. Remember, we trend in 5s, correct in 3s. So if we're going to continue the uptrend to go up and challenge this high for a 5th, then we're going to do it in 5s, and we're going to correct in 3s. So let me open this up a little bit more, and we'll take a closer look at this. So So off of this low. Now there's a little complexity here as well. So we get here's the classic shallow C wave. So we get an A wave here. So we likely have impulsive action here, but we're getting some complexity. So again, two Elliotians could argue about whether this is the one or this is the one. You know, if we have a diagonal here, this is the one. So we get a 1, 2, 3. We overlap the 1 here. You see it, and it's tight. I understand it's maybe hard to see, but we get a 1, 2, 3, 4. We don't overlap the 2, and then we finish here for a 5th. So I propose that what we have here is a leading diagonal in the 1 wave. Leading diagonals only found in a 1 wave or an A wave. So this makes sense. So this would be the 1 coming out. So this is our 4th. We're expecting to come out of this in a 5 wave. So this is our 1. We get an ABC. Remember, we correct in 3s. So there's the ABC into the 2. Then we get our big impulsive move here. Here's the 3. We come down. We correct it in 4. We do not overlap the wave 1. And then we finish in a 5. So given that, so thus a complete 5-wave sequence. So to put that in proper Elliott structure, we would now have a completed 1 wave. Now we're searching for the completion of the 2 wave if we're going to go up and move higher, back to the trend in a 5-wave structure. So let me raise that degree just a bit so it makes sense. So we'll go up to a higher degree. So we've had a 5-wave structure to push us, and the first time we've broken out of this really well-defined channel that we've been in. But then we correct it hard. We come down hard here. Now, given the length here, so we go even a wick through the 618. Now, we know a 2 wave can be anywhere from the 50 to the 786. So this little pop here isn't terribly surprising. If we open this up just a little bit more, you can see that we do have 3-wave structure here. So we could very easily make a case for this being the A, the B, and then the C to come down here and finish that 2 wave. Pull this off a little bit. So we see that. So we get our A wave. This is the start of the correction. Then we get a little A, B, C into the corrective B wave, and then we finish with a C wave. Now we can't say for sure that correction is over, because the potential here is that we get more complexity. So this could subdivide yet again, potentially setting up this. So if it were to do that, so you have to be alert to this possibility. We could see something like this. So let me again raise the degree so it makes sense. Okay, so and I'll put that in a different color. Okay, so we could potentially have just the A wave in. Now we're going to go in and put up the B before we come back down for a C and finish the second. No way to know. So the only way to know is based on the price action coming out of this pivot. Here at potentially, machine's slowing down on me. Here we go. At potentially this pivot here. So we don't know where that 2 is going to come yet. So certainly you could make the case that there's enough here to make a trade here with a very tight stop under this pivot. So very low risk reward potentially for if you're a Bitcoin Cash bull. You could make a strong case that you've come down to our favorite little window. Even though you've had a little punch through it, you're still at a high probability zone for the correction to end here for a second, and you do get 3-wave subdivision. Now we won't know until we see what kind of reaction we get, because remember we're gonna deal with the fibs coming back the other way. So from high to low, I got to deal with the 50 and the 618 here, and then note we come back. We're going right back to that channel. So this may just be, essentially it would be a false break here, or a bull trap, as some might call it. But I wouldn't go that far. I don't see a bull trap. I just see a 5-wave structure. So, and I'm anticipating that corrects in 3s. So this is a positive sign for me if you're a bull here. And I don't have a bias one way or the other. I'm just trying to break it down technically. So here, if we're going to come up, so this is where you would anticipate a reaction coming back the other direction. So, that's how we qualify it. Do we get through the 61865 here, like we did down here? Do we get through that? And are we now moving in a 5-wave structure or a 3-wave structure? That's the only way you get the tell, is how is the market moving? How what kind of pivot structure do we see coming off of this low? Right now, you can't make a determination on it. If it's reasonable to be long here, but I wouldn't give it much beyond that pivot, on the assumption that you've got a 1-2 and we're heading for the 3. So that's not an unreasonable position to be holding, but we won't be able to be definitive until we see what kind of reaction and what kind of structure we get coming into this pocket here, where we're going to bump into the 50, the 618, and the downsloping channel. So that's kind of a wait and see. Now, should we, and we don't know, but should we come up here and get this kind of reaction and then bump here and then get a reaction down, that's not necessarily bad news, because that helps us define where we are. So potentially we come back down here. Now, if you're long here, right, so that's an area where you might, tighten up your stops, or anticipating this, or at the very least reduce risk if you think that potentially we're going back up yet again. So that's an issue of money management, and that's going to vary from trader to trader. If you're a long-term bull, well, this is just a good opportunity to get long at a reasonable price. If you're trying to swing trade it and you get some resistance there, instead start to head back down, you've got a 3-wave structure here, well, that might be a place to take maybe some partial profit. Tighten up a stop, trail with a stop, just move your stop to break even on the assumption or the possibility that we come back down and we get a truncated C wave, as we have seen so repeatedly in crypto. That's certainly a possibility, but then down here, equally as much a possibility. So this could very easily come back down here. So here's the classic 3-wave, right? So that's the traditional Elliott wave correction, A, B, C, 3-wave structure. That certainly, that's what you anticipate. So all of these truncated C waves that we're seeing in crypto are unusual, but that's defining what we're seeing technically in crypto over the last, it's really at least the last 6 months. We're seeing shallow C waves. So again, how do you know? Well, if we're looking for a C wave, we're looking for subdivision in a 5-wave structure to finish the correction. So we'd be looking, in effect here, we'd be looking for a 3-3-5. Right, that's what we'd be looking. So we're looking for, so a zigzag can be a 5-3-5, or you might have a 3-3-5 for a traditional flat. We'll kind of wait and see here. So as far as I'm concerned, if you're not long, you're in a wait and see. If you're a longer term trader, the difference between here and here is not enough to be significant. So it's a reasonable place to be buying it on the assumption that you're going up to challenge those old highs, right? That we looked, way up here. So whether you're buying here or here, if your target is up here, do you really care? Not really. It's not. So your stop might be below this low. Right, so potentially, if we're going to invalidate the entire count, so if we're going to take out what is currently the 4 low, well, then maybe you don't want to be long. But if you're just trying to get long to challenge up here at these highs, and you're not, overloading the trade, i.e., too much risk per your account size, well, then there's nothing wrong with getting long right here. You see what I'm saying? So it's a question of how much risk, how much capital do you want to put into the trade, and what kind of targets are you looking at? As I look at it here, it's too soon to make a call. Too soon. So that's for the members looking at it, again, it's a question of your timeline, your time horizon, what you're trying to accomplish here, what kind of targets you have, and how bullish you are long term for Bitcoin Cash. All right, so that's what I see there. Love it here. If we come down to this little, so here we get confluence. So this is where I'd like it. If I'm looking for a new long, I love it here because I get my 786 and I get the negative 23.6 as an algo target, and then my risk. See, here would be my stop. So I love that kind of risk reward, and I seek it out if I can find it, because I get all this juicy upside here, and my stop is going to be just under that swing low. Because if it takes out that swing low, then my count is wrong. Again, it's back to where I started. This is the rule set that Elliott gives you that allows you to find low risk, high potential reward trades per that structure and that rule set. So if I can buy it in here, that's no hesitation. I will alarm that, and if I see it, it's become habitual now. I take it. I don't hesitate. I just if I see a reaction here and we pause here, I'm in that trade because I can handle that risk all day long. That is not going to hurt me, not going to knock me up, not going to blow up my account. Just a jab. I can take that, and I get 7.73 to 1. I'm in that all day. Got no problem with that. And with the potential to be just getting into the second. And where's your moneymaker? The third of the third. So this would be the third. This would be the third. Well, we don't know yet, right? If this is the third here, we're trying to define the fifth, but this could be the third of the first of the fifth. We don't know where we are. Well, all we know is that we've got a target to go up and challenge these highs if we're going to complete an Elliott count. At least, I mean, so that's your first target, right? But getting there, that's a different question because we're not going to just go straight. So likely we're going to see subdivision along the way. So as we sit here looking for this, here's your first potential entry, right? As I've just outlined. Could be potentially an add if you're really bullish, or if you want to be a little more conservative, or you're spread out across other coins, and this is just one of many. Wait for what you like. This is what I like. That's what I like. If I can see that, I'm long and strong. Stops under here though. I'm not going to give it more than that. Otherwise, again, how long do you want to be in Bitcoin Cash to the tether? So there you go. That's what I see, and I'll wrap it there. I'll be back with a few others just in a few minutes.